And go.
Hey guys, Project Ember is what we've been working on. I'm sure you guys all know that. Our concept logline is, as a diminishing flame entity, explore an unknown landscape to find the necessary resources to keep yourself and build means of signaling, keep yourself alight and build means of signaling your mother to return home. That's the whole story in a nutshell, essentially. Keeping yourself alive, building a fire, get home. Game mechanics overview. In brief, a descending timer represents the player's life. When it reaches 0, the player is burnt out and the player is given the option to restart or quit. Pretty simple. The timer is replenished to a capped amount by visiting pyres throughout the game. The amount of time given to the player depends on the size of the pyre the player visits. So if a player visits a larger pyre, a larger cap is given to the player. For example, a fire of size 10 will give a 3-minute timer. A fire of size 5 will give a 1.5 minute timer. The player can choose to hoard all of their resources to a single pyre or multipliers, which gives the, that's the challenge of the game. You can choose to hoard it all in one location, resulting in a bigger timer, or you can outsource it to many, which gives you more room to explore, but in essence, renders your life shorter. To gather these resources, the player has a few options. First off, obviously there's trees within the world. Thicker trees cannot be burned. It's only the thin trees that can be burned. Burning a thin tree results in wood that you can then carry back to the campsite. An important thing to note, though, is that the more wood you carry, the heavier you are, the slower you go. Which means if you have a shorter timer, it begs the question, can you make it back to campfire time before you die? Once the wood has been deposited to the pyre, though, 1 to 2 soot sprites have been spawned for the player, which is under the player's control. The player can then use those soot sprites to replenish or regrow tree stumps that they've previously burnt down, much the same as you would use bone meal in Minecraft to regrow trees, I suppose. Wood is also found randomly throughout the world, simply just in splinters on the ground, or it is wood. Like we're talking, it's pretty simple here, Once again, same concept applies. The more wood you pick up, the heavier you are. Same concept. Other resources, though, throughout the world. So far, we've got 2. This is still early prototype, so we're still debating ideas. But the first resource we've considered adding is a flower. All it simply does is extend your life timer out in the field rather than have one of your campfires. The amount of time we've not decided on yet, but the concept is the same. Coal is another one. This adds a set amount straight. It's pretty much a collection of wood. Am I right in saying that? Yeah. It's just like a larger sum of wood that you can then add straight to the pyre to extend its cap. Throughout the world, this is another mechanic that we've thought is unique to the game, and that makes it more, I don't know. Throughout the world, they encounter campfires. These are essentially unlit pyres that can be lit to act as outposts for the player. So they don't have to go running back to base A constantly throughout the game, because after a while they're going to, wipe out a radius around their campfire and they're not going to have any more resources. So they've got to jump from outpost to outpost to extend their borders. But again, this begs the question, the bigger the pyre, the bigger the timer. So it really, the player has to decide where to deposit their resources to get, which direction they want to travel on that bit. However, the player can only win by by reaching the main campfire back to its necessary amount, which we haven't yet decided on, obviously. One more mechanic. An important fact to note quickly, though, is the map will be randomly generated, which is pretty self-explanatory. Using a set of integers, mind you, Adrian.
Us using a set of integers?
No, that's what at least we've got. That's pretty, stock standard, isn't it? That's what everyone does.
Is it what you've done before?
Totally. Nah, what we thinking about randomly generated?
As in a sense, randomly generated. So there'll be, at our base goal for now, 2 different variations of maps for each section throughout the game. Whenever you start a new game, each one gets a random number between 1 or 2. When the game loads up,
we don't need to go into specifics.
No,
we don't need to go into specifics. I'm more interested in confirming that is something that you guys feel capable of actually executing on.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't need to know how. I just need to know that you've actually
Can.
thought about can you do this?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So randomly generated. This is Earth, so there will be nighttime and daytime, seasons, etc.
Okay.
Relax. Don't.
All right.
So far we're just sticking with night and day. During the day, visibility is high, same as yours. During the night time, laughing at you.
I'm not laughing. I'm concerned. This is concerned face.
I'm just reading off what we've been discussing, but
Okay,
a lot
alright,
of this
alright,
is still,
alright.
you know. So
Okay.
during the night time though, limited visibility. The player is only able to see so far as their own flame allows them, because they are a flame. You know, logic will tell you that if you give off light. Themselves and the campfires or the pyres are the only sources of light at night, thereby making resource gathering, resource management all the more difficult for the player. Yeah, that's all mechanics covered. Yeah, take over the story if you want.
The story of the game is going to be a Jinn creature, which is a fire and it's like an old mythical creature from like pretty much old Arabian times that has been known to not live wherever humans survive. So what we're basing this in is pretty much an uninhabited forest of any human. The fire created for Jinn creature will carry around a bottle on its back which carries the fire embers, lets them out to pretty much consume whatever they want, and then brings them back in. One of the tricks, however, one of the embers don't make it back, and the Jinn doesn't realize that it forgot one of its little embers. Like when the Jinn leaves, the ember is left alone. It's like scared in a place that it has no idea where it is. It then finds a campfire and realizes the only way it can find its way back is to at least get enough of a signal built for the mother Jinn to be able to find where the fire is. That is essentially our story.
Good. Good. Yes.
Yes.
All right. What's next?
How we've tried to separate this from other ones is, well, yeah, you're a fire, that's pretty different, but pretty much what we based it off was sort of like Don't Starve, with having your individual campsites and spreading out into different areas, and it just didn't seem that, not interesting, but gameplay-wise, we wanted to add more to it, like take our own spin on Don't Starve, and that's pretty much just how we came up with it.
Or any resource management.
Any resource management.
Or survival game for that matter.
Right.
They've all not really been touched upon.
Can I ask a question about mechanics? So your players are moving to new pyres, establishing new outposts, etc., roaming around collecting resources that all will eventually go into the one big pyre to win the end.
Hopefully,
yeah.
yes, that's the idea.
Okay. Are there any threats in this environment that they will encounter, or are
As
they
of
just
now,
is it just
it's-
exploration?
As of now, it's mainly
It's just resource
exploration
management, yeah.
with the environment being the main thing.
Okay. All right.
If time allows, with upcoming possibilities, we would like to add enemies, but
Okay.
if we can't add them, it's not a priority.
Okay, so your primary sort of challenge here, your primary conflict is kind of,
Ourselves,
managing your
essentially.
resources, exploring the environment. Yeah. Okay.
At this point, we're quite confident that that alone will give the player enough challenge to be willing to play the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Cool.
So we hope so. At least.
All right.
Sweet. That's us.
That's done. Yeah. Sweet.
Thank you.